Hello, and welcome to Jewels of the Trade Live. Today we're going to be looking at unusual jades from my personal collection, and we're going to be examining all things jade, so be sure to leave any of your questions that you might have in the chat. I won't be able to show jade from every locale, but I will be showing jade from rare and unusual locales that you might have never seen before. Before we get started, I want to invite everyone to join the newest Discord server for the jade community. We're collectively building a repository of accurate jade information, separated by subtopics such as origin, common simulants, etc. It's humble now, but I'm hoping that with the community's help, we can expand this into the biggest resource for jade on the internet, so please check out the link in the description to get started. And without further ado, let's start with some American jades. This is Big Sur Jade. Big Sur Jade is a lesser-known variety of nephrite jade found in the state of California. Jade hunters often dive into the water to find it, and it's surrounded by a culture of carvers and hunters that prize the stone in its rough form as well as in carvings and jewelry. You may have heard of the Monterey Bay Jade Festival, which happens every June in Monterey, California, and hosts around 50 jade vendors right next to the Pacific Ocean, walking distance from a beautiful pier with incredible shopping and seafood. The Monterey Bay Jade Festival is absolutely worth visiting California for, and you can learn more about it at montereybayjadefestival.org. So if you have any questions about jade, be sure to include those in the chat, or even if you just want to say, hey, I'd love to interact with you guys directly and see if you have any questions about jade shopping or just jade in general. I wanted to start with a trivia question, and if you watch my channel a lot, you probably already know the answer to this. What are the two gemstones that are gemologically known as jade in the USA? Let me know in the chat, and I'll put the correct answer up on the screen. So still looking at the American jades, this is a California nephrite called Victorville Jade, and it's actually known for its unusual magnetite inclusions. There is very little of this just in circulation. Like, you probably won't even really see this in a jewelry store. So I feel really fortunate to have found these pieces of black Victorville jade where the magnetite inclusions have been electroplated with 24 karat gold. What do you guys think of the jade from Victorville? Let me know in the chat. Yes. Okay. So the trivia question earlier was, what are the two gemstones gemologically called jade in the USA? And multiple of you got it correct. The answer to the trivia question is Nephrite Jade and Jadeite Jade. So the California nephrite that we're looking at here with the 24 karat electroplating is a black nephrite. Nephrite and jadeite are pretty different, and we'll discuss that more throughout this live session. If you have any questions about the differences, let me know. But the wearability, as far as like a consumer needs to be concerned, they are really pretty much the same. So both of them can be worn every day. You don't want to wrestle bears in either one, right? So whether it's a bangle or a pendant or a wedding ring, you want to treat it with the same level of care that you would treat any jewelry, especially if it's mounted in like gold or platinum or anything like that. You always want to take care of your jewelry. But it should be known that both jades are actually tougher than diamond, meaning that they're both harder to break than diamond, with nephrite being tougher than jadeite. But honestly, they're both so hard to break that the difference between the two of them, almost negligible from a wearing standpoint, at least. Let's look at some more American jade. This is from Washington State. So sometimes you actually will see Washington jade in fine jewelry because it can be cut into chatoyant cabochons. Chatoyant meaning cat's eye. I don't have a cat's eye cabochon myself in my personal collection, but I do have this Washington jade rough here. So this one, if it were cut properly, this could potentially be a cat's eye cabochon. Now, this is another piece of Washington nephrite, and it's from the Poor Boy mine. So I don't think this one could be chatoyant. but they're still rough. So you never know exactly what it's going to look like until it's cut. And I'm actually not a carver, but carvers have a much better concept for what it's going to look like when it's rough. If you'd like to see like cat's eye cabochons, I actually have a whole video about cat's eye jade featuring Rodney and Nathaniel Cook from Washington Jade on my channel. They're who I got these specimens from, and I highly recommend checking that out. Let's move east across the United States. This here is Nevada Jade. Nevada is known for having Chatoyant Jade. And again, Chatoyant means cat's eye, which means like when you cut it into a cabochon, you can see that cat's eye effect. Sometimes it's not that you can't see it in the rough, you can see it in the rough, but you kind of have to know what you're looking for. It typically has really large crystals. So while nephrite does have, this is kind of complicated. Nephrite has like a microcrystalline structure, but like these crystals are obviously visible to the naked eye. Like this isn't magnification. This is just like a regular camera. So it's like a macro microcrystalline structure. Like that's one of the ways that I've heard it explained. And some people in the trade might even say that Nevada Jade isn't a true jade because of this. However, Mindat, like I don't know if you guys ever look at mindat.org, but they define nephrite as a rock comprising mostly of massive microcrystalline to cryptocrystalline felted amphiboles in the tremolite actinolite series. And so I think the term massive microcrystalline, it's kind of the same as like macro microcrystalline, where it is small crystals, but you can see them. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Nevada Jade should be considered a jade? And do you have any questions about what constitutes a jade stone? It's a really huge conversation, but we do have videos on this channel that discuss it. Pawan says, in ancient China, not only 1 or 2, but they consider more than 3 gems as jade officially. Yes! This is such a great topic. So in the US, because of mineralogy and gemology, the way that we understand the chemistry, so when you look at like the chemical composition and the crystal structure, we group gems by those criteria, right? So when you start thinking of gemstones like chemically like that, we have decided, based on the international market and the way that stones are traded and the way that stones are revered and how they're viewed by cultures, that jadeite jade and nephrite jade are appropriately called jade. But this is absolutely true. In ancient China, they didn't have spectroscopes, right? They didn't have the periodic table of elements. They classified gemstones differently. And so, according to many scholars, there were 4 great jades of ancient China: serpentine, nephrite, turquoise, and a zoisite aggregate called Dushan Jade, or we call it Dushan Jade. So yeah, what I love about turquoise is that turquoise seems to have this really like intertwined history with jade. I get so excited about this because some of the finest turquoise in the world has come from China. It has been revered for thousands of years in China. And when you come to America and you look at our tribal cultures, like the Navajo culture, the Cherokee culture, a lot of these tribes in the United States, they have also revered turquoise for like ever. It's a huge deal. And so I feel that there's something special about a stone if you see civilizations all over the world appreciating it. And to see civilizations appreciating both turquoise and jade so close together, and in a lot of those, like there's a lot of overlap where a lot of the same civilizations appreciate both. I think that's really special. And I think it speaks to the beautiful nature, the incredible nature of both turquoise and jade. So yes, that is a fantastic, fantastic statement. Thank you for sharing that, Pawan. So where were we? Were we looking at, let's look at some Wyoming. I actually think before we like really dive into this Wyoming nephrite, I have another trivia question. Where did I put it? So I already answered this. You guys you're going to be like, Jordan, you already told us the answer to this, but let's see how well you were paying attention. And some of you are just now getting here. So what are the 2 minerals? And actually, I should word this a little bit differently. What minerals constitute the solid solution series that comprises nephrite jade? This is a little bit of a harder question to answer. So while you guys let me know in the chat what minerals comprise jade, let's take a really close look at this beautiful Wyoming jade. So I bought this from Freshwater Jade, and he's located in Wisconsin, but this material is olive colored from Wyoming. It is really, really special. Oh my gosh. Yes, actinolite and tremolite is the correct answer to the question. So the question was, what are the two minerals that comprise nephrite? And this is correct. It's actinolite and tremolite. Very good. Very, very good. Let's take another look at the chat. Dake is here from Dake's Peculiar Procure. It is so great to see you. Hello. I also think that they prefer the more opaque amber. Yes. So it's so fun to see how civilizations over time revere gemstones. And Dake has mentioned before in our Discord that the Chinese also really love like red agate, amber. There's so many stones, turquoise, amber, pearls. Oh, we didn't even talk about the pearl and jade connection. You want to talk about two gemstones that have an intertwined history? Jade and pearls. I should do a whole separate video on it because there's like too much to unpack. But yeah. And then Dake mentioned white nephrite. So in jadeite, the highest like valued color is green. And a lot of times when we think of jade, we think of green. But historically and even today, in nephrite jade, the highest value color is actually white. So that's what they're referencing here. Let's go ahead and look at some more Wyoming nephrite. So I wanted to kind of introduce this bracelet, and some of you guys have probably seen this in my other videos. This is a really special piece that belongs to my husband, and he bought it from Freshwater Jade. So the toggle is a Wyoming Jade stone, but every single stone on this bracelet is from a different locale. And it's really incredible because how often do you see an all nephrite bracelet where every single piece is from a completely different place in the world? So the Yukon, that's in Canada. Indonesia, that comes from Aceh in Indonesia. Big Sur, that Big Sur nephrite bead is from California. We have some beautiful Wyoming material. Siberia has gorgeous white jades. And again, this is all nephrite. Some New Zealand snowflake, which is really hard to come across. Australian cowl, again from Aceh. And then Kunlun being one of one of the most beautiful sources of nephrite, the Kunlun Mountains in China. We have some more Siberian, some from Yemen and Taiwan. It's such a special bracelet. I think it really shows like this wide variety of sources, and it kind of gives you like a better concept for how jade is appreciated all over the world. So I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite jade locale? Let me know in the chat. And let's go ahead and move on and take a look at some Siberian jade. So this, not jadeite. This is Siberian nephrite. So I'm not exactly sure where this material is from, but I believe most nephrite jade in Russia comes from somewhere around Lake Baikal. Russian nephrite jade has actually been traded with China since the Ming Dynasty. And Russia, like China and New Zealand, has a long history with nephrite jade. Archaeologists have actually found Russian tools made of nephrite jade dating back to 2000 BC. And in fact, the Russian artist Fabergé, one of the most famous jewelers of all time, was known to use Russian jade in his art. So let's take a look at the chat. Let's see what you guys have to say. It is both, but I think tremolite. Oh, yes, this is such a good topic. Okay, so I asked earlier, what are the two minerals that constitute nephrite? Actinolite and tremolite are the answer, and then they form a solid solution, and so you can have intermediary minerals like crystals that are both, right, that are kind of between actinolite and tremolite. And it leads to a lot of debate surrounding jade nomenclature and like what constitutes a jade, because the orientation of the fibers and even like the chemical composition of the minerals, right, because you have trace elements and stuff like that, can create some I don't know, confusion surrounding like, well, is this really a jade or is this not really a jade, and how should we define jade, because jade is just like this really sophisticated trade term and it's kind of broad, and a lot of this stuff has to be approached kind of academically and conceptually, and not every definition in gemology is super straightforward, because gemology is a science based around a trade, and it's largely driven by consumers and what consumers say and want and how they want to refer to things. So Dake says it is both, but I think tremolite is the one they use to classify nephrite, or any rock with 95% or more tremolite is considered Chatoyant jade. Okay, so this is such a great concept because Tremolite, if it's more tremolite, it's going to be more white. So in the case of Hertian Jade, and of course, Hertian Jade, it can refer to just white jade, but it can also refer to Nephrite Jade. So there is some confusion with that term, but when you're referring to white jade from Hertian, Hotan, like the Hotan River, yeah, that's mostly tremolite. And so the more green it becomes, the more actinolite it is. So when you have white nephrite, it's considered to be pure tremolite. And some of the confusion that we discussed in my cat's eye jade video, if you guys have seen it, is that when you have a parallel fiber orientation, it might affect the toughness of the stone. Now, again, in jewelry, all stones should be handled with care. But historically and gemologically in the US, nephrite was defined by its toughness. And so certain toughness criteria had to be met, yet there wasn't enough testing to really constitute to what degree actinolite or tremolite it needed to be to have such and such toughness to meet such and such criteria. And to be honest, it culturally wasn't jiving with how the Chinese view nephrite jade. So you have different schools of thought now about how much actinolite or tremolite constitutes a jade stone. And then even like if you start looking at IMA, like the International Mineralogical Association, the way that they define actinolite has actually changed. So there's some really interesting stuff. And what Dake mentions here, Dake, I'm so glad that you're here. Hertian Jade can mean just nephrite in general. So let's say you're a customer and you go into a jewelry store and you say, I want to buy some Hertian Jade. The salesperson would be wise to ask for clarification. Do you mean that you want white jade from the Hotan River? Or do you mean that you want nephrite jade? And if so, what color, right? Because in China, the way that they treat the nomenclature, they announced a few years ago that any nephrite can be called Hertian Jade. So Dake here is talking about Qinghai Jade. Yeah, people talk some mad smack about Qinghai Jade. It's so funny. And I have a video with Andrew Shaw, who is a Suzhou-based jade carver that's in China. And he actually dives into kind of like the cultural perception of Qinghai Jade versus Kunlun Jade. Or versus Hertian Jade. So like Kunlun and Hertian Jade are held in a higher regard, and even Siberian Jade is held in a higher regard than Qinghai Jade. And they can look very similar, but like what Dake's talking about, like the Qinghai, it actually does look different. I say it looks similar because you can have two pieces. You can have a Qinghai piece next to a Kunlun piece, and they're both white, but they do look different. There's something about the Qinghai Jade that is like plastikier, glassier, and it's not bad, but it is valued less in China, and that's what Dake is referring to here. So I actually didn't realize that there was this consistency in quality across Qinghai Jade. So that is very, very interesting to know. All right, Pawan, out of the way, but I always wondered about my jade journey. Oh, this is a great story. So this is so funny. I worked at a jewelry store for 7 years. I was a CAD designer, and when I left retail to go into wholesale, I was repping actually a casting house. So my job at the time was I was a sales representative who would liaise with jewelry stores and help them with the manufacturing of their custom pieces, which was just a phenomenal job, and I loved it. On this journey, I visited a trade show actually in Tucson, and my husband saw jade for the very first time at a trade show, and he looked at it and he looked at me and he was like, oh, this is the only gemstone I want to wear for the rest of my life. And he was so enamored with this stone. We read a book on it. We got really into it, like researching and learning about it. And that was when we realized that jade is more than a gemstone. And the entire world of jade is as big as the entire world of all the other colored gemstones combined. There's so much to learn and understand from a cultural, historical, archaeological perspective, because it is more than a gemstone. Literally, like it's art, and it's so beyond just gemology because you have this history, and it's because of its durability. It has all these uses throughout time, and we just fell in love. And so we actually started doing business with Mason K back in 2020, and that is how we came to learn so much about jade, because the folks over at Mason K are the experts, and they have done a wonderful job of educating us. So thank you for asking that question. Going back to the Qinghai material, Qinghai is quickly rising in price. Really? I think it should be. I love to see jade valued. I think it should be appreciated. This is a limited material. It's not going to be around forever. I always say jade doesn't grow on trees. I love to see all jade being valued, and I hate to see any jade not have a good reputation. I am not upset about that. I'm not upset to hear that it's rising. No, my earrings are not jade. Thanks for asking. I was hoping nobody would notice. So I bought these because I don't know if you guys know this about me. I like to... Did I freeze? Did I lose you? No, I'm back. Did I lose you again? Am I still here? I'm having some Wi-Fi issues. Okay, so the earring thing though, I like to buy earrings off of Etsy to see if they're real. And these turned out not to be real, but they were really pretty, so I kept them. All right. I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi is working. It kind of looks like it is. Hey, Ivan. Welcome. Great to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. So can you guys still hear me, or am I just talking to myself? Because I do seem to be having some Wi-Fi issues. Was that Nephrite or Jadeite that he saw? Okay, interestingly enough, it was Nephrite. We love Nephrite, and we sell Jadeite Jade, and we love Jadeite Jade. Like, we're absolutely smitten and just like obsessed with Jadeite Jade. That's what my necklace is Jadeite Jade. And I have a ton of Jadeite Jade pieces, but the stone that we initially fell in love with was Nephrite. And to be honest, over time, we've only grown to love Nephrite more and more and more. The more we learn about it, the more we see it, the more we love it. I love both Jades. I used to say that Jadeite Jade was my favorite. Now I would say that they are both my favorite, but for different reasons and in different ways, because the more you see it, the more you really like appreciate them. Okay, I'm glad you can see me. That's great, because from my computer, it seems like I'm not actually here. So that's really nice. I already greeted Ivan. I think I greeted Ivan. I don't know if he heard me, because I'm not sure how bad my connection is. But hi, Ivan. I'm really glad that you're here. Is there completely clear jade? Yes. Great question. We call it ice jade when it's Jadeite Jade. So the clear jade that you can see through that looks like moonstone is colorless, translucent Jadeite Jade. And it basically is like, we call it pure Jadeite. I don't know that we should say that, but it's the easiest way to explain it, because it means that there aren't trace elements in like the chemical composition that cause color. So like just Jadeite by itself with no trace elements and no chromium, no manganese, none of that is going to be colorless. So that is the clear jade. Tends to be the trend in the Chinese market. Men tend to fall for Nephrite. Okay, and I have a great theory for that. I think it's because women love jewelry and Nephrite is used in jewelry. Yes, 100%. But I really think of Nephrite as art. Nephrite carving, even like just like the tiny carvings that are the size of your palm, to the sculptures, to the bangles. Like, I think of Nephrite so much as like this artistic carving material. And Jadeite a lot of times is what you see in like multi-million-dollar jewelry. And you know how women are. Women love multi-million-dollar jewelry. Like, can't get enough of it. Do you have any pieces which are cheap but beautiful? Yes. Yes, so much. Also, what is cheaper, carved or rough Jadeite? Oh, this is perfect because I have like the perfect piece to show you for this. So this would be considered inexpensive Jadeite Jade, or in the trade, we call this commercial quality. So this is cut from rough that's kind of like this, where you have larger crystal sizes, lighter or more pastel colors, and then kind of the intercolor mixing that we refer to as texture. So it's opaque, it's heavily textured, and it's a light color, but look how beautiful it is. So these are all really inexpensive pieces. So I mentioned to you guys earlier that I like to buy pieces off of Etsy to see if they're real. That's what happened here. They were real. They were just interesting story about these. When I bought them off of Etsy, they had been, I don't know if they were photoshopped or if they were just like photographed really strategically. They looked like a brighter apple green than they actually were, which I kind of expected. So the carving on the left the carving it's on the right. You know, that piece I think would be less than $100 in a jewelry store, really, truly. And then the bangle, I think, would only be like $200 probably in a jewelry store. And again, it just comes from this uneven, opaque, you know, light colored rough, but it's still pretty. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. This is a piece from Mason K. They actually gifted it to me, so I so appreciate them. I just love the folks at Mason K. They really are the nicest people. This is like it's like a little tray to put your wedding ring in, and it's carved from jadeite. And you can see that this wouldn't be carved into a cabochon, so you wouldn't wear a ring with this quality of stone normally. It's more likely to be used as like a home decor item, like what it is, or turned into maybe a carving or something. So if you kind of compare this color to, this is my ring. This, I think, if you bought it in a jewelry store, would be, I think, around $2,000 for the stone and the ring. Maybe I'm wrong. That might be a little high. I'd have to check. I'm not sure. I don't have an appraisal on it. But what this has going for it is that it's nice and translucent. Like it's really gummy and yummy. And so you can just kind of see the difference there really in the color and the translucency. But talking about inexpensive jades again, the jade on the left shown here is Guatemalan Jadeite jade. And you can see it's pretty translucent, but we would consider this off color because it's not a true color. It's kind of an intermediary between blue and green with like a grayish sort of tint to it. So that is a great thing because it ends up making the piece very affordable. Like I want to say that this bracelet, like a single strand bracelet in that material would be definitely less than $1,000 in a jewelry store. Whereas if you compare it to the strand on the right, that green color, because it's more opaque, but because it's a true green, it would be over $1,000 in a jewelry store. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. I hope that kind of answers your question. Honestly, when it comes to affordable jades, like the list is endless. And a lot of these pieces that we've been looking at today are affordable jades. So like earlier we looked at the Big Sur Jade. And in fact, if we go ahead and, and these, my earrings, very affordable. I picked these up for less than $200 from Freshwater Jade at the Tucson Gem Show last year. This is Canadian Jade. I love talking about Canadian Jade because this is actually from British Columbia. It's a nephrite. This is from Jade West Mining, and so are these. Very affordable. The price is going up because it turns out jade doesn't grow on trees. And so with just like overall, like with the economy and prices increasing, and also an increased appreciation for this material, which it should be appreciated, like it should be valued higher. We are starting to see a little bit of an increase, but like if you look at these pieces here, so my disc that I bought from Jade West, I don't know, that's probably less than $50. And then that bangle that I'm showing here, that's probably less than $200 in a jewelry store. So really, truly, in the grand scheme of fine jewelry, jade can be a more affordable option than other types of jewelry because you don't have to have gold. Like if you have beads and a bangle, you don't have to pay the price of gold. So you're paying for the gemstone. And a lot of times, depending on what quality or what type of jade you choose, it can be very, very affordable. And especially, so like this company, Jade West Mining, they have a website, jademine.com, so you can just buy from them directly. And of course, your jewelry store can also buy from them too. Like for instance, if you wanted to like see an array of these pieces and try them on and choose which one you want, your jewelry store can actually arrange that. So you could just go into your local jeweler and say, I want to buy from Jade West. They just call them up and they can order. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid of price when you're shopping for jade. We always say at Mason K, we say that we have jade from fun to fine. And what that means, like fun is like inexpensive. Fun, it's a fun piece to find. Like if you want to spend $1 million on jade, you can. But if you only want to spend $100 on jade, you can. So this is from Mason K, not the pendant, but the beads are. And they're actually black nephrite jade from the Australian Coal Mine. And also very affordable. So these are actually my beads that my husband took from me. That's his pendant, and he decided that he liked my beads and he wanted to wear them. So he strung his pendant on it, but don't worry, he's giving it back. And anyways, he I got lost. Sorry. Really beautiful, really affordable. I think beads like this would maybe sell for around $500 in a jewelry store for the whole strand. And of course, if it were a bracelet, it would be even less expensive. And then here, like I even have a comparison between black nephrite jade and gray jadeite jade, which are typically going to be in the same price range. For instance, these bangles here are both in the $500 price range. The left is gray jadeite jade and the right is black nephrite jade. Yes. So jadeite jade, again, jadeite jade can be in the millions. Like it can be just like slap your mama expensive, but it doesn't have to be. And I always tell people, like, I think a lot of people think, well, nephrite's the cheaper one and jadeite's the expensive one. And I do want to change that perspective because nephrite can be super, super fine too. Nephrite can be, I mean, like $8,000-$10,000. And oh my gosh, the nephrite that's $20,000. Oh, it's so gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I just can't get over it. So don't think of nephrite as the cheap one. Think that there are affordable and valuable options in both categories. So yeah, and with jadeite, the expensive can get really expensive, but it does not have to. Like whether your budget is $100 or $10,000 or $1 million, there's something for you in nephrite and jadeite. So let's go ahead and move on. Does BC Jade have colors other than green? I don't think so. I think they can get into like black. So the Ogden material that I showed earlier, so this is Ogden, and this is a close-up. This is like some distance, and it's not black. It's dark green. And I wouldn't even say, like at first glance, it doesn't even really look black, but it is really, really dark. And I'm pretty sure that this Ogden material can get really close to black, but even when it is, I think it's still really, really, really dark green. I don't know if they found any Chatoyant BC Jade. That's a question I can ask the Makepeace family, the owners of Jade West. I'd be really excited to ask them. I do know when Jade West sells Chatoyant nephrite, I believe it's Siberian, because I've seen their calves and they're from Siberia. So from what I understand, the Chatoyant nephrites come from Siberia, Taiwan, and Washington. And then there is actually a Chatoyant Jadeite jade, but it's an omphacite jade. And I don't know that it's on the market. I don't know that you can buy it. GIA, not this past summer, but the summer before, they posted a research paper where they had actually found Chatoyant omphacite jade. And I'd like to know more about that, but I think the research is pending. So saw a notice on their site saying that they're not allowed to mine anymore. Yeah, great question. This is such an interesting topic. I saw this on the news. I've talked to the Makepeace family about this, and actually there's a video on my channel where they dive into this, and it's in a longer interview. It's in one of the Jade West interviews I've done too. But in the first one, they really dive in. The one with, I think Nikki and Matt did that one. So here's what happened. It's a long story. Nephrite jade has been mined in British Columbia, Canada for decades, but the material has never been valued as high as it should have been. And I always quote the late Fred Ward in his 1986, I think, 1987, 1980 something National Geographic article about jade that really put like Guatemalan jade and Canadian jade on the map. And when he talks about how jade has been sold too cheap, he ends his article with the words, "Jade deserves better." And it's so true. But when you have a material that has been celebrated for thousands of years, you want other people to be able to have it too. And so it's not that it was sold cheap, but it's really not as expensive as it should be. And so what ends up happening a few years ago is a television show, like a reality show, inflated the value superficially of nephrite jade on television, but not actually like the price. Like they didn't actually like up the prices. They just exaggerated how much they were selling the jade for. And when this happened, the indigenous peoples of British Columbia were like, well, wait a second, this is our land. Why are we not getting like a cut of that money? Like if it's so much money, why aren't we getting some? So it was really a problem because there were lies out there in the ether about how profitable British Columbia jade actually was. And then now it's all tied up in the government, and you guys know what government's like. So the reason that there's been a pause on mining for a few years now is because they're still sorting out between First Nations and the Canadian government and the mining companies legally what can be mined where, when, all of that stuff. And so I think really it's like just like getting caught up in legal kind of stuff. Like I think waiting on permits and waiting on licenses and stuff like that. And there's probably, this is news as of the point when I did my video with them, which you guys can see on my channel, but I haven't gotten an update since then. So there could even be more to the story now that I don't quite know, but that's what I know to be public. And that's what I was told in the video that you can see on my channel. So yeah, really interesting question. Really interesting topic overall. Do you have any jade prices other than jewelry? Yes. So I don't think I have anything with me right now. Let me scroll a little bit. Because a lot of what I have here is just rough pieces. This is Burmese Jadeite jade, which is a really good example of the rind, where you have the quote red jade, or in this case brown jade, that forms around the outside of the boulder from oxidation. And so it really gives you kind of an idea of why you don't see large red jade pieces often, because that rind is so thin. And then I have, let me look around here for a second. I have this Guatemalan Jade rough. So I guess I don't really have on hand, I don't have anything that is statuary or home decor except for my little ring holder here, but it absolutely exists. And to be honest, you can buy jade statuary from Mason K. And I would absolutely recommend, if you're looking for jadeite statuary, I would recommend shopping with Mason K. And if you're looking for nephrite statuary, I would recommend shopping with Jade West at jademine.com. And that's just because those are the two main companies that I know of that do it. But if you guys know of anybody else who sells that kind of product, definitely let me know. I want to know about all the jade sellers. I want to know what everybody's selling. The red jadeite necklace looks unheated. Yeah. Did I show a red jadeite necklace? Is it mine? Are you talking about mine? This one? So let's talk about heated jade. When you have red heated jadeite, it usually looks kind of dry. It might be darker, but it looks like crusty is not the right word, Jordan. What's a better word? Just dry and crystally and heavy. I think it looks less glassy, less ethereal. This is natural, so it has not been heated. I have a carving here with a little bit of yellow too. And yellow and red are caused by the same thing. So it's the iron that is in kind of the outside edge of the boulder that it has to do with the way that the boulder formed, and then the oxidation and the iron kind of pushing out to the edges of the boulder. So yellow and red are caused by the same thing. And a lot of times, so this I would say is yellow and green. This, we call it red, but it's technically the color orange. And you'll see orange and brown jades are called red jade. And I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it does kind of make it a little bit easier to talk about, because you don't have to be as specific with color when you're discussing it. But yeah, no, thank you for noticing. It is not heated. That is an excellent observation. You are correct. They are really red. Yeah. So here's the thing about if it were true red jade, oh boy, would it be expensive. And Dake is right. It would be more like Southern red agate. It would look a lot like that. I never, ever see true red jade in person. I see the orange and the browns, and I've seen red orange or orange red, but very rarely. No. Let me be very clear. I have never in my career, it was a few years now of selling jade, I've never seen the true red, the one that looks like agate, true red jadeite jade. That's how unusual it is. So it's pretty crazy. Where were we when we were looking at pieces? This is another example of Guatemalan jade. I love talking about Guatemalan jade. This is kind of that blue-green color. These are from David and Haley Seafelt in California. They have David's Coastal Collections, and he is just awesome. He has such cool pieces. And Haley had actually messaged me on Instagram one day and was like, do you like these earrings? They made me think of you. And I was like, yes, I'll take them. And then this is my husband's wedding ring. It's also Guatemalan Jade. So Guatemalan Jade is becoming a little bit more known, but it's not seen in jewelry stores very much yet. And that's because in the grand scheme of Jadeite Jade jewelry, that market is dominated by Burmese material. The Guatemalan material has always kind of been around since like the 1970s when it was rediscovered by Jay and Mary Lou Ridinger, which is a fabulous story, by the way, because nobody believed them and nobody thought that there was jade in Guatemala, and then everybody was proved wrong. But in recent times, in jewelry stores, you won't typically see this. Not yet. I think in the next year or two that's going to change. I think that demand for this material will increase because it's just so freaking cool. Here's another example of Guatemalan jade. So this is a yellow jade pendant in Guatemalan material. And they do have, I think a lot of people think that Guatemalan jade is always blue, and it's not. They still have like the rind of the boulder, so you're still going to get reds and yellows and stuff like that. You can even get some true green in Guatemalan material. And then this is so crazy. This is Guatemalan, like kind of icy blue jade that has like brass on it. And it's just like a light plating, like it would come off pretty easily if you were to rub it too much. But what a cool piece. Like I really look forward to seeing Guatemalan jade in jewelry stores more. Here's that comparison again between the Guatemalan and the Burmese Jadeite jade. Are there any Burmese blue jadeite? Yes. So it's really interesting to discuss like the term blue in regards to jade, because a lot of times what we call blue jade is this bluish green, or maybe it's greenish blue with kind of this gray overtone. And to find true blue, like aquamarine blue jadeite jade, is very, very rare, and it's very, very expensive. So typically when we say blue jade, we're actually usually referring to this. We're referring to this color. Oh, sorry, you asked about Burmese. Whoops. Is there Burmese blue jadeite? Yes, there is Burmese blue jadeite. So I don't have any examples of Burmese blue jadeite. I personally haven't seen it that I know of. I might have seen a piece of blue jade and not known that it was Burmese. That's entirely possible. But I haven't knowingly seen a piece of Burmese blue jadeite. But the way that it's been explained to me, and maybe Dake can contribute here, is that the Burmese blue has less of those like characteristic Guatemalan green gray tones. And I don't want to say this because I don't know for sure, but I think some of your higher quality blue jade is Burmese and not always Guatemalan. Though I saw a $20,000 blue jade Guatemalan jadeite bangle one time. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, Dake, but Burma's in civil war now. Yeah. Great topic to discuss. So, one of the things that I love about the colored gemstone industry in general is this connection that we have to nations and economies that might not have a ton of opportunity, usually largely because of their government, for making money. And so with gemstones, that gives the people in an area like a thing that they can sell, that they can offer the rest of the world in exchange for money to help improve their lifestyle. One of the problems that we're seeing right now is that Myanmar is in a civil war, and it's like the military versus the people, essentially. It's horrible. Very rough stuff. Very awful. There's more important things at play, but indirectly, this has affected the jade trade. You have multiple things that affect the jade trade. COVID affected the jade trade. Weather affects the jade trade because in the Kachin Hills, where they mine jadeite in Burma, they're like subject to some really awful weather, and so their mining season is very short. Like it's only, I think, 6 months long usually, but different weather conditions can change that and can make that weather season shorter, or the mining season shorter, or make the mining less efficient, and et cetera, et cetera. So yes, so we got civil war, we got COVID, we got what did I just say? Oh, weather. So there's many factors that have affected the amount of jadeite that goes into China to be cut to then be sold to the rest of the world. So I theorize, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the chat, that because there's less high quality jadeite jade coming out of Burma right now, there's more Guatemalan jade filling that vacuum for demand. And because we're seeing more Guatemalan jadeite jade in the markets in China, I think we're going to start seeing it more here in America. And I hope we do, because I love Guatemalan jade. Love it. Blue is also rare in Burmese. Yes. Yeah, if you guys join the Discord, you should join the Discord. You can see a picture of Dake's Pichu. It is awesome. Highly recommend. The link is in the description if you want to join the Discord. Basically, in the Discord, we geek out over jade, we share pictures, we chit chat, and then there's a forum that's like a catalog of information so that you can like be like, oh, I want to learn about Indonesian jade today, and you can just click it, and then there's a bunch of pictures and a bunch of information, and that it's a growing resource. So if you yourself have photos or information or articles about a particular type of jade, you can add it to that forum, and that way it can be this like growing resource for all of us. True data, Amber. I know you always have this like kind of weird, there's so much we can't do, like as a country and as an economy, we can't interfere with everybody's everything all the time. So unfortunately, yeah, you have corrupt governments, you have corrupt militaries that, might profit more than they should off of the gem trade. I am always really proud to see mining companies, though, that go in and directly help the people. We see that a lot. I don't know if you guys ever watched my video with John Ferry from Prosperity Earth. He owns a demantoid garnet mine in Madagascar, and it has been a wonderful thing because he has really strong ethics, and so he has done a lot to try and help them like improve their environment and the lives of the workers at the mine. And so you can see a lot of like examples through gem mining and the gem industry of like people genuinely trying to help people and economies. And yes, horrible things do happen and it is very sad, but there are opportunities that exist because of the gem industry that might not otherwise have been there. And so I'm always really proud of this industry because of that. Hello, I made it to watch it. Hello, welcome. It's so great to have you. I'm so happy that you're here. All right, so Jules is trying to have access to a jade mine in California. Oh, it's known to the public now. We just put it on YouTube. But back in the early 1900s, it was closed to the public. And oh, very interesting. You should join our Discord. How do I sell it to China? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you. I do not know the answer to that. But that is super, super interesting. I'm always interested in learning about American jades. Like we were looking earlier at some of the Big Sur Jade, some of the Victorville Jade, which is also in California, jade from Washington, jade from Nevada, and even Wyoming. So I get really, really excited about really all jade, but American jades as well. All right, guys, we're wrapping up here. If you have any more questions, let me know. I think we looked at everything that I brought today. If you have any questions about some of the particular pieces that we saw or just jade in general, now is the time. I hope you guys do consider attending the Monterey Bay Jade Festival next June. I think it's going to be June 7th through 9th. And I also hope that you join our Discord because we are just having a blast on Discord. This is still new. Like the Discord is in the early stages and we're still adding, like trying to keep it up to date with jade news, trying to add jade categories and then fill those categories with accurate information because I don't know if you guys have noticed, most of the information about jade on the internet is wrong. Like it's so bad. And so we really, I think as an industry, like we need kind of a hub, like kind of a place to go online where we don't have to worry about just like sludging through all the nonsense. So that's why we have the Discord. The link is in the description if you guys want to join. And I probably won't be able to go live next week, but let me know in the comments what other topics you want to see and what kind of live chats you want to have. Like, let's like discuss and talk about all these really cool like subjects and learn more together. So thank you so much for joining me and spending your Tuesday evening with me, and hope to see you in the Discord.